Hi, welcome to my video on maximum minimum word problems, part 2. In this video, we're going to derive the equation and then work out what the question is asking us. Number 1, two numbers have a sum of 8 and a maximum product. Find the numbers. Notice I have to come up with an equation. So I find the numbers. So I'm going to let x be one number. Two numbers have a sum of 8. So if two numbers have a sum of 8, then if x is one number, then the other number must be 8 minus x. So one number is x, the other one is 8 minus x. And it says maximum product. Product is p, so the product of x times 8 minus x. So these are the two numbers, and there's their product. So the product is a maximum, so the product is equal to 8x minus x squared. And let's write the equation in descending order. So now I have an equation where the product is a function of x. And in that case, I have the vertex is going to be x comma p. So I'm going to let x equal negative b over 2a. A is negative 1, b is 8. So I have a negative of 8 over 2 times negative 1. That's a negative 8 over negative 2, and I have a 4. So if x is 4, so 8 minus x is the other number, so it's 8 minus 4, which is 4. So the numbers are 4 and 4. So note, the two numbers have a sum of 8, 4 and 4, and a maximum product. And it didn't say what the maximum product was, but the maximum product would be, if the two numbers are 4 and 4, the maximum product would be 4 times 4 is 16. Let me explain it another way, because that's working out what the answers are. But let's do what I'm going to call a chart. Watch now when I do a chart. So here I go. So I'm going to lay it out, and you'll see how it works. So what I have is that the sum of the numbers is 8. So 8 is the sum of the numbers. So if one number, and this number is 8 minus x. So if I pick a number to be 0, then 8 minus 0 is 8. So that means that p is their product. The product of the two numbers is 0. If I pick this, again the sum is 8, so if you pick a 1, the other number must be 8 minus 1, which is 7, and the product is 7. Again, the sum is still 8. Let's pick another number called 2. So 8 minus 2 is 6. So the product, 2 times 6 is 12. And notice the sum is always 8. That's the condition. And we pick a 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. 3 5s is 15. Notice the product is getting higher and higher and higher. What about we have a 4? 8 minus 4 is 4. The product is 16. What about we have a 5? 8 minus 5 is 3. We get a 15. What about if we have I'm going to write a 4 now. A 6. Sorry, that's a 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. And the product is 12. Now if you notice that 15 is right here on each side. 12 is here on each side. And if I did 7, 7 will give me a 1, and the product will give me a 7. So you can see that these are the same. So right in the middle are these two numbers. There's your maximum product right there. So that's your maximum product. Maximum product is 16. And 4 and 4 will do that. Remember, the two numbers have a sum of 8. So take any numbers and add them up, and you get 8. But the product, if you let's just go to a negative 1 for a second. If we got 8 sum and negative 1, that means I must have 8 minus that, I must have a 9. But the product of those two is negative 9. So you can see as you go negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, it keeps getting a negative 9, negative and negative and negative. So, or if it went to 8 and 1, 8 and 0 this way, you get a product of 0, and etc. So 16 is the middle. But this is how we derive it. But this is the understanding of it, how it works as it does. Okay, let's try another one. Two numbers differ by 10. The sum of their squares is a minimum. Find the numbers. Again, we got two numbers, so we'll let x be one of the numbers. If the two numbers differ by 10, that means the other number must be x minus 10. So if we have two numbers, if I give you a number and I wanted to differ, you'll say, if I give you a 30, and the next number that differs by 10 could be 30 minus 10. So we take the 10 away. So if that be the case, we have the two numbers of x and x minus 10. The sum of their squares. So the sum is s, the sum of their squares. So the s is for sum. So sum means add, and there's their squares. The sum of the squares is the minimum. So let's simplify the equation. X squared, x minus 10, x minus 10. Sum is x squared minus 10x minus 10x plus 100. So the sum is 2x squared minus 20x plus 100. So, again, we have a maximum minimum problems. We have a minimum. And this makes sense because in a minimum is when the parabola goes upward. And this goes up because it's a plus. So, because we have a vertex, and the vertex for this parabola, V is, we have x and then the sum. So, x is equal to negative b over 2a. And negative, let's see, we have a is 2, b is negative 20, c is 100. So the negative of negative 20 all over 2 times a, which is 2, that's 20 over 4, which is 5. So one number is 5, and the other number is x minus 10, which is 5 minus 10, which is negative 5. So find the numbers. The numbers are 5 and negative 5. So 5 and a negative 5 differ by 10. And their sum is a minimum. So that's the two numbers. Let's check. Remember, the two numbers differ, and let's see, they differ by 10. Okay, and one number, let's let x be one number, and the other number is x minus 10, and we get the sum of their squares. Let's see, here we go. If we got one number is, let's say, what do we want? 0. 0 subtract 10 is negative 10. The sum of their squares is 0. Add on 100, which gives me 100. Perfect. Two numbers differ by 10, and one number is 8. The other one is, they differ by 10. One number is 1. The other one is negative 11. They differ by 10. So 1 subtract 10. 1 subtract 10 is negative 9. So the sum of the squares is 1 squared is 1 plus 9 squared is 81. So that gives me an 82. If we got two numbers differ by 10, and I have a 2, so 2 subtract 10 is negative 8. squares 4. 64 is 68. Two numbers differ by 10. One is 3, the other one is 3 subtract 10 is -7. I get a 9. 7 squared is 49. So I get a 58. Again, the two numbers differ by 10. 4 and -6. That's a 16 plus 36 is 52. I got a 10. Number is 5. 5 subtract 10 is -5. That's a 25 squared. 5 squared is 25. -5 squared is 25. That gives us a 50. Better be careful. 25 plus 25 is 50. Again, I'm going to go with a 6. I get a -4. Square 6 is 36. Square -4, I get 16. And that gives me a 52. And notice now, they're the same. So there's your verdicts. There's the two numbers that give you the minimum sum of 50. And trying to explain it, how it works with this pattern. But when you work your problem through, you get the answer without ever thinking about doing this. Remember, in terms of differ, it's x and the number subtract what the differ is. If it's sum, then it's the number and 10 minus x. But with differ is x and x minus 10. Differ means to subtract. So I go x and minus 10. Another one. If you want to pause the video and see if you can work them out, go ahead. Find the number when added to its square will give you the minimum sum. What is the minimum sum? Find the number when added to its square. Okay, we're going to let x be the number. It says find the number when added to its own square gives you a minimum sum. So the sum, so a number added to its own square gives you a minimum sum. So the sum is going to be minimum. So that means that s equals x squared plus x. And again, we got a vertex of an x and an s. So the vertex is x equals -b over 2a. And a is 1, b is 1. So that's the negative of 1 over 2 times 1. And that's a -1 over 2. And that's what the number is. But when it says its sum is, so that's what x is. So x squared is a -1/2 squared. So that's -1/2 times a -1/2 is 1 over 4. So the sum is x squared plus x, which is -1/2. Same. I did it right here, but I'll do it in the equation now. So that gives us 1/4 plus -1/2 multiplied by 2 over 2. It's 1/4. So add on -2 over 4. That should be a plus there. That's a plus. So that gives me -1/4. So the sum is a -1/4. That's the minimum sum. And let's think about it from the point of view of explaining. We have a number x, we have its square, and we're going to find its sum of these two. So what about if we take a 2? If we take the number 2 and square it, we'll get a 4. So its sum is 6. What about if we take a 1 and we square it? 1 squared is 1. The sum is 2. So notice the sum is getting less and less and less. If I take a 0 and square it, the sum of 0 and 0 is 0. If I take a -1 and square it, -1 squared is 1, and the sum is 0. Note. What about I take a -2? -2, and I square it, I get a 4. Sum is 2. Oh, notice I have these the same, and they're the same, and the parabola, the y values are the same, so in between must be right here. So what numbers are in between here that work? Well, it's the numbers we found, because what happens? Halfway right here is a negative a half. And when I square a negative a half, I get a quarter. And that sum becomes negative 1/4, which is what we found here. Again, in the table of values, the vertex is in the middle. The y value is in the middle. So halfway between the x of 0 and a negative 1 is a negative a half. So there's the numbers that fit. But this is how I worked it out without doing the chart. Again, a little explanation on working with the numbers and working with the word problem, deriving the equations. And if you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, videos, and the content. That's the content of my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you. Bye-bye.